Day 4 to the Westgate siege, and Parliament is asking hard questions. Just how did we get here?
We don't want to blame people. We don't want to bring blame game here. There will be a time for audit. Mr. Speaker, we cannot condemn the National Intelligence Security Service or NSIS because we don't know whether they reported this matter. And unless we do a proper audit, Mr. Speaker, then we can come up and say National Intelligence Service failed. So we want to know who failed and where and when.
I know people like skirting around intelligence issues. I have never understood why. Whoever heads the intelligence unit is a human being. He could be working now on diminishing returns, either because he has been there for too long or because he just doesn't know how to deal with new ideas, new terrorist threats, etc. So we must be practical enough to say, is it about time we need a new intelligence unit, intelligence service? I say this because, Mr. Speaker, the international community had prior knowledge. Madam Speaker, international community had prior knowledge, meaning there was intelligence service, intelligence reports, even if they were coming from other countries. How come we couldn't have it?
We know these terrorists. Sometimes we arrest them, we are laying them in our courts, and then we grant them bail. Then on granting them bail, they abscond, and then they go planning and coming back. So, Madam Speaker, I think it's important also to assist our police and prosecutors to get convictions on terrorism cases.
Yet, the Westgate attack only confirms one thing, that the war on terror is far from being won and Kenya cannot win it alone, a fact that some members picked.
We must have a long-lasting solution to the Somali problem. We must. The powers that be, if they can send forces to Syria, if they can send forces to other nations, the earlier the better. We must hit at the Al-Shabaab strongholds in Somalia. We must secure our borders. We must secure our nation. We must have people of integrity, Mr. Speaker. Our men and women who man our border points, our immigration officials must be patriotic. They must know who is a good visitor and who is a dangerous visitor, Mr. Speaker.
Others sought to make it clear that those making a link between the terror attack at Westgate and religion are mistaken.
We do not want to be divided by religion. We don't want to be told that there were some who are being let and others not being let out. We are not going to go in that direction, Mr. Speaker. Let us handle those terrorists as terrorists and punish them as terrorists and not to think of them as belonging to one race or one religion or one anything else.
A wake-up call that some parliamentarians say must be heeded by all.
We would also like to encourage each one of us to play the role of knowing who is your neighbor. This must be a campaign that we must all sustain.
For this not to be repeated, this kind of attack, for it not to be repeated, Mr. Speaker, sir, let's adopt that system of knowing the neighbors in your compound. Wherever you live, wherever your neighbors live, wherever Kenyans live, make sure you know who your neighbor is and what they do for a living. It doesn't cost much, but it's a very effective way of knowing and reporting any suspicious characters.
The House also sought to convene a national leaders conference to formulate a long-lasting anti-terror strategy. And Mawathe, Citizen News at 9.